Good afternoon, Chief. Good evening, Chief. You're welcome. I've forgotten I'm in United States. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here.
Good evening, Stephen. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So if you are in New York or United States, anywhere in United States, good afternoon. If you are in Nigeria, good evening. So this is actually another edition of the Eagles Leadership Eagles Leadership Conference. This is the 2020 edition, and my name is Stephen Ogbolu. I am a lawyer. I am a personal development expert. I am a leadership consultant, and of course, I am an author. So I have the singular opportunity or privilege today to be hosting one of Nigeria's finest. He is such an amazing personality, and our generation is privileged to have him today. And in fact, I can't express myself enough for having him here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have before you today Chief Femi Fani-Kayode. As a matter of fact, listen very carefully. He is the Sadaokin Shinkafi. He's the servant of truth. He's the voice of the voiceless. He is the Ayamfe Oluwa. He is the Akanda Eniyan. He is the Odomago. He is the Odogu Eze. Of course, he is the Otumba of Joga land. We are privileged to have you today, sir. Listen very carefully, guys. Let me read to you who just a little, in fact, he does not need much introduction, as a matter of fact. But let me just give you a little of, who he is. Chief Femi Fani-Kayode is an astute lawyer. He's way my senior at the bar. My grandfather at the bar. He's a writer. He's a political activist. He's a human rights activist. Of course, he's the prophet of our time. As a matter of fact, I call him the political prophet, right? He was born in Nigeria and later moved to the United Kingdom to complete his education, after which he returned to Nigeria to play vital roles in politics. He was appointed the Minister of Tourism and Culture, and after some time, he was appointed the Minister of Aviation. Ladies and gentlemen, to date, his passion for excellence in leadership is unquestionable. That passion is unquenchable. And we are privileged today to have him here. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for joining us, Chief. God bless you, sir.
I mean,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. You too, Stephen. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna first of all, I want to ask you some questions, Chief. And
Sure.
yes, sir. You've been in politics for a long time.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, what I read up about you is that you've been in politics since you were 29. I think that at that time you were the national youth leader. So you've been in the game for a long time. You've been, in fact, your experience is something that everyone should draw from. So
Thank you.
today I want to ask you, Chief, what has been your passion all this while? What has been your passion in leadership in politics all these years?
Well, for me, politics is a calling. And it's also something that I was born into because my father was a politician. He was the deputy premier of the Old Western region. He was the one that moved the motion for Nigeria's independence successfully in 1958. And so I was born into that setting. And literally, I grew up in it. And, for 4 generations, my family has gained so much from Nigeria. My father, my grandfather was at Cambridge University, my father was at Cambridge, my great grandfather was at Durham University, and they all came back and made an impact in their generation. My great grandfather was a priest, and he brought Christianity to my home, Anglican priest. My grandfather was a lawyer, criminal lawyer, one of the best, and the third Nigerian to be made a magistrate. And then my father, of course, was a very distinguished lawyer and a very distinguished politician. So that's the setting I grew up in. Literally, from day one, it was clear that I would go into politics. And the kind of schools I went to from a very young age also prepared me for that. I never went to school in Nigeria. I went to some of the best private schools in the United Kingdom, Homewood House, Harrow School, then university, London, Cambridge, and then back to Nigeria for law school. I practiced law fully for 3 years, after which I went into politics in 1989, 1990, of which I featured at a very high level at a very young age as a national leader of the then political association. So since then, it's been one struggle after the other in terms of the struggle against the military government, military dictatorship, the annulment of June 12th in 1993, the fight against military governments, the establishment of NADECO, and then, of course, the coming of President Obasanjo after the passing of Abiola, the passing of General Abacha. And I came back. I lived in exile for a while because they wanted to lock me up during General Abacha's regime. So I came back to Nigeria in 2001 and immediately joined up with President Olusegun Obasanjo, who drew me very close right away. And he had been following my writings and he thought he wanted me to be close to him. And he became literally my political godfather. And I was with him for years. I started off as a special advisor, a special assistant, public affairs. I was his spokesman for about 3 years. Then he made me a minister, first time, then second time, and that was it. And since then, so much has happened since we left government. I've been through a lot, and we've been in opposition since 2015. And I felt it was important to. So if you ask me what really drives me, it's probably my background, my education, my passion, my belief that we need to give as much as we get from our country. And I believe in justice and fairness, and I believe that we ought to make that commitment to make a change, a positive change in our country, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in. So that's really what drives me, the passion and love I have for it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you so much. That's really an inspiring story. And I believe that people like us are going to learn a lot today. As a matter of fact, I have my pen and paper ready to take down a lot of things because I'm learning, and I've been learning from you since 2010 or 11, if you can remember.
Amazing.
So thank you so much. Thank you. So, Chief, I want to ask you another question. Omoyole Sowore is a human rights activist as well as a political activist who has suffered a lot of persecutions based on his political ideologies. Of course, he is a champion of revolution now. He's in his late 40s, and of course, he contested for presidency not too long ago. Do you think, Chief, he is a good example to young people out there? Do you think what will cause a paradigm shift in Nigerian political system is a revolution? That is something similar to what Sowore has been doing, because it looks like he's learning from you, because as a matter of fact, he's someone that is not afraid of anything at all. He's not afraid of nobody. I want to give you a quote that you've made several times from Macbeth. Chief, you used to say that I shall fight until the flesh is hacked from my bones, and then be he who first cries out. If I got it right, Chief, please tell us about how this man is an influence to our young people or in our nation today. Do you think it's a good example? Please.
Well, I may not agree with everything he says and everything he has done in the past, but I have to say that he's done exceedingly well. He's courageous, he's focused, and he's determined, and he keeps people on their toes. And he's been doing that even before he went into politics with his Sahara reporters. Right. So I am all for people like that getting into the ring and doing all they can to effect a change and to ensure that what they perceive needs to be done in Nigeria is done. I mean, it's his right, and it takes courage to do what he's done. He's gone in at the deep end. He was instrumental in bringing this government in 2015, but at least he had the presence of mind to now retrace his steps and do the right thing. And he's not alone. President Obasanjo himself, Atiku, Saraki, Wale Soyinka, Femi Falana, so many of them that supported Buhari in 2015, Dele Momodu now realized that it was a monumental error. And we told them at the time, but they didn't believe us. As you know, I led the campaign, or I was spokesman for the campaign organization with Jonathan in 2015. And I saw what was going to happen if President Buhari was elected. And I was proved right on virtually everything that I said. So I think he's doing the right thing, making up perhaps for the errors of judgment that he indulged in a number of years ago. And he stuck his neck out. He's paying a price for it. He's being persecuted, in my view. But he has refused to bow. And I admire and I respect anybody, regardless of the age of that person. Age has nothing to do with it. It's his passion. That's right. And I respect and admire that. And I think if he continues like this, he will go very, very far.
Very far. Wow. So do you think that, what will cause a paradigm shift in Nigerian political system today is a revolution?
Well, it depends how you determine, what you consider, because a revolution is a very wide term. I don't believe in any violence or any violent revolution or anything like that, because that would be counterproductive, and it would lead to probably a war of some sort. And I abhor bloodshed, I abhor violence. If you're talking about a revolution of minds, revolution of perception, revolution of thinking, revolution of ideas, perhaps you might have a point that we need to renew our minds and have something of a revolution, cathartic revolution, to purge ourselves of things that have bedeviled us in the past and have a new beginning. If that's it, I agree with that. That's a very, very healthy, refreshing way forward. But what you have to understand about the Nigerian system is that it's a very, very complex, conservative, almost retrograde political system, whereby in order to emerge as president, you have to, first of all, emerge as the candidate of one of the leading political parties, because they simply have the numbers, they have the people on the ground, and they control massive numbers of people. So if you want to be elected as president and you are not part of that arrangement, it will be very difficult for you to achieve your ambitions. I mean, I'm not sure what the figures are, but if you look at the figures in the last election, all these small parties, if you like, and all these candidates that came into the ring on smaller platforms, I'm not sure any of them won anywhere at all, not probably even one local government area, which doesn't mean to say they're not doing the right thing. What it actually tells you, they have immense courage to continue to do what they've been doing. And perhaps one day, people will see the light and align with them. But as we speak today, it's very difficult thing for them to break that glass ceiling, if you like, and get through. Those that are in the power game, that are really in the power game, belong to the key political parties. Right now, it's APC and PDP, and then of course,
PDP,
to a certain
yes,
extent, some of the
right.
smaller parties, APGA, and one or two others. If you're really looking for power, fortunately or unfortunately, you have to go on one of those platforms today. And what you then need to do is to fight within the party structure to emerge as a candidate, which is always a difficult thing. And then you now go to the polls to try to win an election.
Yes,
there's
Chief,
not one state in this country that's being run by any party other than APGA, which has one state, where I am today, incidentally. And the rest are run by PDP and APC, and of course the federal government and APC government. So yes, I have immense respect for him, but it's going to be a tough task. But he's paying a price, and I think he has a great future.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you so much. So I want to say this because I'm just going to take it from what you said, that you know, you have to belong to any of these parties, right? People have, you know, I've had conversations with people, and you know, I hear them say that there are some little politics within these political parties that in order to, as a matter of fact, to be selected, you have to play the game. You have to, you know, tell us a little about that. You know, what do you mean? Is there supposed to be like another politics within a party?
It differs from platform to platform. What I know is the fight to win the nomination to be the party flag bearer at any level, whether it's LGA, whether it's at governorship level or presidential, is always a cutthroat fight amongst the big parties. It's almost, in fact, in many ways, it's more complicated and difficult and challenging than to contest against another party in a general election. And what you need to do is, you know, you need to fight hard within to win the nomination and ensure that you still carry everybody along with you after you've won. So that's always a process of negotiation, understanding, bargaining, and sometimes, oftentimes, it may not throw for the best candidate, but sometimes the best candidate doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the connections, doesn't have the means to get through and be the party flag bearer. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it happens that way, sadly. But you know, I think if you look at the quality of leaders that's emerging now in Nigeria, and I mean, I know virtually every single one of them. I know them well. I'm glad to say that if you look at some of the governors that are emerging, people like Matawale in Zamfara State, the governor of Zamfara, people like Ugwai in Enugu, people like Umahi in Ebonyi, people like Makinde in Oyo State, and then you have Obiano here in Anambra. And you know, there are quite a number. The man in Cross River State, Ayade, is also good in my view. There are a number of them that are doing a lot of work in their states very quietly. And they are really making, and if you go there and see what they've achieved, you'll be shocked that they've done so much in terms of infrastructural development. And so Matawale came in a year ago, they were killing 500 to 600 people per day in Zamfara State. Today, 80% reduction in that kind of killing by terrorists, you know. So there is hope in the Nigerian horizon. And I think there's also groundswell of opinion that's rising concerning the incumbent government and the APC, that people realize and appreciate the fact that, look, we need a stronger opposition, and we need to be able to have a, you know, opportunity to really take them on at the polls in 2023 by producing the right candidate from the right place who is able to win an election so that we can win power back at the center. Now, some people will tell you that, well, APC and PDP are the same. It's absolutely untrue. They're very, very different in many ways, and I know both parties well. The characteristics of both parties are very different. None are angels, none are demons. Both have good and bad, like any political party. But if you really want to talk about power, you really cannot do anything outside that part, those two parties. Or perhaps if you go to a regional party like APGA or one or two of those ones that may win in a state, outside of that, you're simply just, you know, you're doing your best, you're doing something that's honorable and courageous, but at the same time, you may not win power today. It may take you a number of years to be able to do that. That's the reality. That's right. It may not be the best thing, but that's the reality. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but that's the reality on the ground. And I don't say that to discourage anybody, because like I said, it takes courage to go and form a so-called small party and say you want to be president or you want to be anything. That takes immense courage. And that tells you something about the character of those that are doing that. They're deeply courageous people that are committed to the development of the country.
Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you so much. You've said a lot. I'm just going to say something, Chief, with what you just said right now about the resources. Because we have very fine people who have come out and said they want to be president. To them and to us, they are a little bit popular, right? And most especially the young people recently. I want to give an instance. Fela Durotoye, I don't know if you know him, who contested and said he wants to be
he was also one of the young men that supported Buhari in 2015. And suddenly he decided he wanted to run. For me, let me just tell you this. So many people have died in the last few years, since 2015. I've been to places, I've been to the homes and settlements of people who've had their whole families killed, their homes razed to the ground, their territory occupied. And this happens all over the country. It even happens in the core north. So it's not a religious thing. It's not a tribal thing, which I think is a mistake many of us made in the past. It's happening everywhere. Okay? And when I look at that and the amount of bloodshed that has taken place over the last few years under this president, under this government, I find it hard. From the bottom of my heart, I say this to you. I find it hard to comprehend the thinking of those that supported a government like this to come in 2015. And I had the same views even about Atiku. It's not limited to any party. Anybody that had a hand in setting this thing in place in 2015 is culpable to a certain extent. Now, many of them have changed now, and that's good. But nevertheless, it happened. They hadn't called it APC at the time. I was in the opposition party then. I left the PDP for 9 months. They hadn't formed APC, but they were in the process of forming it.
The process of forming it.
And within that 9 months, I recognized them for what they were. And I withdrew. And I told the world, this is why I'm leaving, because they're playing the politics of religion, the politics of ethnicity, and I can't be somewhere like this. And I went back to PDP and led the campaign against them. So they cannot compare themselves to me. I saw the light. I saw that this was something that was wrong and evil. It was dangerous to our corporate existence, and moved away and fought them. But most of these people stayed and supported this. And now they're saying there's this, that, or the other. I find that difficult to comprehend. You can change your mind, but don't expect me to love you for the decisions you made at that time. Because so many people died. Our economy has been destroyed. Our country has been divided. People are suffering. We are in a real mess. Now, having said that, it's also important for us not to allow ourselves to be caught up in this emotional circular motion. That is to say, we are moved by emotions all along. We're not thinking straight. No matter what has happened, no matter what has happened in our history, no matter what is happening or has happened since 2015, we have to pull ourselves together and understand that the only way you can change this is to build bridges, find friends with common interests across party lines, identify those that think like you, that believe that Nigeria still has an opportunity to be great again, and work together across ethnic and religious lines and ensure that Buhari is voted out in 2020. Buhari's party is voted out in 2023. That's the only way forward. Anything else is a luxury. And if we don't do that, and the APC comes back into power, believe me, it really would be a challenge for Nigeria. I'm not sure Nigeria would survive for much longer. So this is it. Now, it doesn't mean I have anything against Buhari personally or against anybody in the APC personally, because I don't. I have immense respect for the president. I have immense respect for his office. But I have immense respect for his party. But I believe there needs to be a change. And those of us in opposition, have to get our act together and stop playing games and stop saying things that are not even relevant to the power game and all these fantasies and ideas, and smell the coffee and understand we must come together. Not just PDP, all the other parties, we must come together and work out an arrangement, a coalition, to ensure that we can wrestle power from the APC in 2020.
Thank you so much, Chief. Now, I thank you very much, Chief. I was inspired by that. As a matter of fact, I just want to ask you something, and I would appreciate it, Chief, if you can answer in just 1 or 2 minutes.
Sure.
So when you talked about resources, because I know there are some people that have come out and said, like I was saying earlier, they want to be president, and it costs a lot of money. And this is not about. I know part of raising funds or getting resources is to raise funds, to becoming president or something, no matter what the ambition is. But it looks like it's going to be very expensive, or it is very expensive to run, such election. I mean, such campaigns, right? So I want to ask, Chief, um, how much do you think it's going to cost? Just a rough figure, yeah. Because I mean, some people want to know. I'm sure a lot of people are watching all around the world now, and they're like, "Does it
Let me
cost
tell
two
you this.
million, 2 billion?" Okay.
Now, let me tell you this. Anybody that wants to run for the presidency of Nigeria needs to have a lot of money behind it. He may not have money of his own. Obasanjo came out and was elected president in 1999. He was in prison. He came out from prison in 98 and he was elected. He didn't have money. He had lost virtually everything, but people supported him. Yaradua was governor, but he didn't have money when he came in as president. Jonathan certainly didn't have money when he emerged as president. So it's not about money, but you need money. If you don't have money, you must be supported. And Nigeria is not peculiar. Any presidential system. The country you are in right now, you're in New York. I believe you're in Syracuse right now.
Yes,
Lovely
Syracuse,
place.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And upstate New York. And
Right.
an election is about to take place in November. And literally, both candidates, both parties, are spending millions and millions of dollars in order to ensure that they win. Even to win the nomination, millions of dollars, let alone the election itself, millions and millions of dollars. So Nigeria is no different to that. It's complex, it's expensive, and anybody that doesn't have the resources should not complain. If you want to come into this game, you need the resources. If you don't have it, encourage those that have it to support you for an elective office. And I'll tell you this much as well. The presidency of Nigeria has nothing, well, money is needed, but in our history, it's very clear. One thing is clear. There's always a spiritual dimension to who emerges as leader in this country. Because if you look at all our leaders from the beginning up until date, I'm talking about the democratically elected ones. Not one of them was a millionaire at the time he was elected.
Very true.
I mean, I can go through them. Tafawa Balewa, and you said I should be brief, but Tafawa Balewa, Shagari, Obasanjo, Yaradua, and Jonathan. They were not dollar millionaires at the time that they were elected into office. So you need the resources, you need the backing of many people in terms of money, but most importantly, you need God. So if you really want to be president, pray hard, work hard, and get people to believe in you, to invest in your dream and invest in you.
You need God. You need the backing of people. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you so much for that. So those are the resources. Apart from money, we need human resources.
More importantly, you need God. Obasanjo was praying in prison. He was praying in prison, and they came and they said to him, "Here you go. You are going to come out. We're going to pardon you. We want you to be president." He said, "I have no money." He said, "No, you don't have to worry about money. We're going to make sure you win that election. You win the nomination." Defeated Ekweme at the convention, and he won the election against, I believe it was Falaye at the time. So, that can only be God.
That's true.
Tafawa Balewa was just a teacher. Shagari only wanted to be a senator. Yaradua was just the governor in Katsina. He never amassed wealth. He didn't have anything. They just picked him up and said, "Come do it." Jonathan was sitting in his office as deputy governor of Bayelsa State when they said, "Come and be vice president." I was there the day they told him, or rather I was in the villa the day they told him. He was shocked. He became vice president, and later on, what happened, and President Yaradua passed on, and he became president. So these things are determined by God, as it is even in America, as it is anywhere. Matters of power, matters of life are determined by God. But you still have to work hard. You still have to have the resources and the backing.
Thank you so much, Chief. Let me run quickly to the next question. Now, it's no news that some of the political leaders we have today, most especially President Muhammad Buhari, okay, have been at the helm of affairs of this nation, of Nigeria, for many years now. But a lot of Nigerians are concerned that the same old people, I'm sure you've heard of that, you've heard that a lot of times, the same old people have been ruling them till now. Hmm. They want new breed of young leaders. And in fact, not too long ago, we had some young people indicating interests to run for presidency, and some of them did. But this is still an issue because the form is expensive. Now, it was published on Vanguard News in 2018 that for the APC political party's expression of interest form cost $5 million, while the nomination form cost $40 million, making it a total of $45 million.
No, naira,
Yeah,
not dollars.
Yeah.
Even naira. Not
Sorry, in naira. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God. In naira, actually. So for the PDP political party's expression of interest form for the presidential aspirants costs 2 million naira, while the nomination form costs 10 million naira, making it a total of 12 million naira. Why is it this expensive, Chief?
Stephen, listen, politics is a game that is expensive. You can't, let me just start by saying, I don't believe anybody should need to pay anything for any form. That is a regulation imposed by, I believe, the political parties themselves. You understand me? I think, is that right? Political parties themselves. It is not a criterion of INEC, I don't believe. What you do in your party in terms of nomination form is your choice. Now, if you're in PDP, you're asked to pay 40 million naira for a form for presidential candidacy. If you don't like that policy, you go to a party that doesn't charge anything and try your luck. You understand me? You can't run away from the fact that if you want to run for a serious office in Nigeria, that is a key office, which is competitive and which is sought after by many, you will have to find the resources. Or somebody has to identify you as a bright star and say, listen, this is the way, this is, you know, we have confidence in this young man. We could pick Stephen and say, we have confidence in you. And this is how it happens all over the world, by the way. And we're going to support you. You don't have to do anything, but we'll support you with money and you just pray and remain focused. Now, you can't say that there's something wrong with that system. It costs money. This is a game for people that have money and people that are interested in ensuring that they win. It's not a game for suckers and losers and whiners. It's a rough terrain. It's a tough terrain. And you don't get anything for free. And you must be ready to suffer the consequences of even being defeated at the polls, because invariably, those that win come after you with everything they've got. That's the nature of our politics. So it's not a game for people that don't understand that, look, it's a tough walk and you need to key into it, go in for it for the long haul. And if you don't win the first time, perhaps the next time you win, keep going, as long as you believe in yourself and you trust God. And that's it. But to say, oh, you know, to buy forms is too much, go to a party that gives forms for free and go and contest on that. Go and contest on that platform. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how I see. You know, parties need to be able to raise funds from within as well. And that's one of the ways they raise funds to run the party. That, oh, you want to be governor? Fine. Buy a form from us as our platform and then come and try your luck. So you can't, and they need those resources. They're not getting resources from anywhere else, so they need those resources. So that's just how it is.
So, Chief, someone just asked, how can someone raise funds for effective candidacy? Someone just asked that question. How can someone?
Well, you can do a fundraiser. First thing, do a fundraiser. You know, go out and tell the world you're interested in running, and whoever wants to support you should come for a dinner and pay money and invest in you. But you know, we can't run away from the fact that you need to be able to have access to resources to run for election. It happens everywhere in the world. To run for Congress in America alone, to run for Congress, to win the nomination, you may not have much personal money yourself, but people will back you to win the primaries. There's no question about that. And you know, in America, everything is open and plain, you know.
That's right.
how much you have, how much you're spending. Nobody shies away from that. They say, oh, so and so spent $10 million on ads alone. It's there. Where do you think the money's coming? People donate privately because they have confidence in you. And that's how it works everywhere. So if you feel that you want to be a politician, you want to run for a serious office, then for goodness sake, understand that you have to have the backing of people that have considerable sources of money.
Resources, yeah.
Because it costs money to do anything in politics successfully. You can whine and shine and make as much money as you like. If you're not interested in political office, you're just interested in being a commentator. That's a different thing entirely. But if you want to win political office, you have to be able to, or be part of a wider federal government or even a state government. You have to support the right people, build the right bridges, work closely with a network, caucus, lobby, spend where you have to spend, and become relevant with your voice. It's a fight, it's a struggle, and only the strong survive.
Wow. Only the strong survive. I'm going to write that down. Thank you so much, Chief. So because of time, I'm going to ask you the next question. What advice do you have for young people who are desirous of being leaders on a global or international stage? People who want to be the next United Nations Secretary General or any of these global taking up the global positions and all of. What advice do you have for them?
Well, the first criterion you have to do if you want to achieve that is to excel in your own country and be somebody that is recognized internationally as being an asset and somebody that can work effectively. So if you want to, become whatever it is, these positions and international organizations and so on and so forth, you have to first of all excel in your own environment so that people take you seriously and recommend you. These people are nominated for these positions. So either you have to be somebody that's been a minister or president or a leader or whatever, but somebody that has done well. So you still go back to the beginning, which is that for goodness sake, do well in your country. Don't keep running down. We have a lot of challenges in Nigeria, and we've all done it. We run our country down often. If you defend Nigeria anywhere, it's the Nigerian people, many Nigerians themselves on social media say, no, it's true what they said. It's true what they said. We're terrible people. These are very negative and bad pronouncements, which we really shouldn't be making. We can criticize ourselves. We can say that things have gone wrong. We can, tell the world the facts about ourselves or tell each other, but we are not a basket case. We are not a useless country. We are not a zoo. We're not finished. It's not all over for us. There's still hope for us. And there's still hope if you have the right quality of leadership to bring fairness and justice to everybody that's been aggrieved. And that is what I would want young people to do and think about now. Look, let me tell you, the nation of Finland, the Prime Minister of Finland is a young lady. I think she's about 33. I don't know. Her whole cabinet or half of her cabinet are women, and they're all under 35 or something like that. Okay? Now, compare that to our country, Nigeria. How many 30-year-olds have been president, democratically elected? How many 35-year-olds are not on social media watching Big Brother Africa and so on, instead of Big Brother Nigeria, instead of doing something sensible? You asked the question earlier, why are the old people being recycled? In 2015, most of the people that supported Buhari, particularly those living outside Nigeria, who just didn't know any better, didn't know anything, were young people. Say they want to change. We told them, if you want to change, let it be a change for the better, not a change for the worse. And they insulted us, particularly those in the diaspora. And the young people who didn't know Buhari in 1983 and what he did, and who didn't care to go and read history or go and do the research, the same thing. So if you're complaining about elderly people, you are the one that supported the elders or these elderly people in 2015. You understand me? So don't complain. You got what you wanted. And in any case, I'm not even saying elderly people are necessarily bad. It depends on who it is. But if you want power, my advice to the younger generation, you need to be focused. You need to take things seriously. Get off Instagram. Get off Big Brother Africa, Big Brother Nigeria. Get off, talking about mundane things and learn your history. Get into the ring. Play hardball. Let people take you seriously and fight for power and put yourself forward courageously. Make sacrifices in the sense that you leave everything and go into politics, which is what so many of us have done over the years. Rather than just criticize and complain and run everybody down. It's so easy to do that. But those that get into the ring, whether I agree with them or not as individuals or even as parties, I have respect for them because I know what they go through morning, day, and night. And not all politicians are bad. In fact, the majority of them are good, trying to do the best for their country and their community. And I think we need to recognize that and acknowledge that.
Thank you so much, Chief. So this is going to be the last question before we answer just one question from Facebook. So historically, Chief, only a few countries have produced female presidents. We are talking about countries, female presidents.
Okay.
Female presidents, yes. So we are talking about countries like Brazil, which had Dilma Rousseff as its former president. And of course, Finland that you just mentioned now, which had Tarja Halonen as its former president, to name but a few. Now, this is rare. Nigeria has never produced a female president, neither has United States and several other countries around the world. Do you think women are being marginalized, Chief? Because of their gender, most especially in Nigeria?
No. Look, no, I don't think women are being marginalized at all. I think that, if you look at the terrain, you'll find that it's a tough fight. And, there are a lot of, like I said, Nigerian politics is that is at the top, at the federal level particularly, complex game, a lot of power configurations, a lot of considerations. And, before you can get to that point at that level, you need the support of a lot of people. And we are in an inherently conservative society, rightly or wrongly. It is difficult, and it will be difficult for a woman to be elected as Nigerian president for quite some time, simply because of the nature of our country, the nature of our attitude towards women, the nature of our people. Very conservative. I have a friend who wanted to run for governorship of Kwara State, Gwemi Saraki. She's a minister now, good friend of ours, good friend of mine. And what happened was they said because she's a woman that they would not support her. And she was an excellent candidate for that position, but because of her gender. So there is discrimination up to a certain extent. But however, the point is this: we are a conservative society. And I don't think that the woman has any woman that I can say has emerged that has the strength, the ability, and the courage to fight the fight that needs to be fought to emerge as president of Nigeria. And if you're a woman and you want to be president, then you have to win over a whole lot of people that are in a position to make you president. That is what I call the kingmakers and those that control power in this country. You need to win them over, and perhaps they'll push you forward. But that's just how it is. Now, there are many women that are talented and that are good enough to be president. We have many like that. But the chances of that happening anytime soon is very, very, it's most unlikely. And like I said, America has been a democracy for how many years now? And up to now, they still, hundreds of years, they've never had a female president. So we've only been a democracy, we've only been a nation since 1960, what's our 60th year this year. So there's still plenty of time. Give it another 20, 30, 40 years, maybe. It might happen then.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you so much. I'm sure we were all inspired today, and I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot. I now believe that if you want, and I'm sure I'm speaking the hearts of every other person watching out there, most especially young people like us who, in one way or the other, we want to, because we love our people, we love Nigeria, and we are learning from people like you. So we want to impact our nation. Yes, sir. We want to impact our nation in one way or the other. So with what you said, even if the money is not there, the passion should be there. And then God should be there. And then you need to support others in order to earn their own support, which is what I took from you, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you so much for, I think there is no other question for now. And please, Chief, if there's anything you want to say in addition to all you've said, please go ahead.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks for having me, Stephen. I have immense affection for you. You're probably the only person that could have got me to have this interview at this time today, because like I said, I've a tour of the South, and I had to take time out. The governor's sitting in the room next door, and I said, I just have to do this. And then I leave here tonight to go somewhere to another state around 12 o'clock, then tomorrow to another state. So we're moving, but I had to make time for this. And that's because I have immense respect for you and your audience and those that are listening. And I really appreciate the fact that you invited me on this program. And you know, it's been a wonderful time. And I want to encourage you and all your listeners and your generation that, you know, you really have so much to offer. And I sincerely hope and pray that many of you will get into the power game and make a difference in the country. It's a great country. We have a great future regardless of it. And God will lift us. Okay? God will lift us up.
Thank you so much, Chief. God bless you. Thank you for your time. I'll get through to you later. Thank you. Have a good day and a productive one. Thank you. All right, sir.
Shalom.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to let our next guest in. The other guest that we have. I'm sure you enjoyed this one today. All right. Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's been an interesting one. And as a matter of fact, I know you learned a lot. So the Eagles Leadership Conference is a conference that started in 2017. And as a matter of fact, we started that year in Benin City, Nigeria, and we've recorded a lot of success stories. As a matter of fact, we've had people who wanted to engage in one or two projects that were able to start it. And I want to read something to you, ladies and gentlemen, about being an effective leader. And this is from my book, Success Pills. Success Pills is there on okadabooks.com. If you type it on the search box, Success Pills, you'll find it there, okadabooks.com. So I'm going to be talking about this, and I would like you to listen. This is a quote. It takes one person to lead a change, either positive or negative. Either of them will determine if the world would be a better place or not. Now, the second thing I want you to notice is that true leaders show courage. They don't just teach it, they show it. The other thing I want to let you know now before the next guest comes in is that until you're humble enough to serve, you are not qualified to be served. You know, Chief just talked about the power game, and sometimes it is important as a leader to be humble, not sometimes, all the time, to be humble enough to serve others. And it is in your service to others you're going to gain respect and their backing in order to be in that position or that to have that opportunity to be able to lead and to be able to have the platform to lead. Okay, Femi, please bring all the guests in. Bring all the guests. Femi is the brain behind this work. Hello, sir. Good to have you today.
Hello.
Prof.
Great to be
Mr.
here.
Wale Akinyanmi.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being here today. We are privileged to have you here. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I think it's technical issues. So thank you so much for being here today. You've been a blessing to me for some years now, and I'm privileged and humbled that you've been a blessing to me. One way or the other, you drove all the way from Akure to the event I had on in 2017, and I'm so grateful for that. And you impacted a whole lot of people, and I'm sure that They have their own success stories. I'm sorry about the network connection. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have Mr. Wale Akinyanmi, who has been a blessing to me and several generations around the continents of the world, around various continents of the world, most especially Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen to a little of what he is and what he has done, of who he is and what he has done. Now, Mr. Wale Akinyanmi is the CEO of Speed Africa, a Pan-African project for advancing economic empowerment in Africa through entrepreneurship, development, and mentorship. In furtherance of his vocation, he has been a consultant on enterprise facilitation and investment promotion to several private and public enterprises in Nigeria from 2004 to date. Between 2014 and 2016, he was on a self-sponsored mission to work in Rwanda, a country with over 70% youth population. He reached the country's teeming youth population through structured meetings, trainings, and public speaking engagements. Till date, he's a mentor to thousands of young entrepreneurs in several continents of the world. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the singular privilege of having him here. If you are an entrepreneur, get ready to be inspired. If you're a leader in business, or you are an entrepreneur in business, or you are an entrepreneur or a leader as an entrepreneur, get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Wale Akinyanmi. And the other guest I have here is in fact, it's a rare privilege to have you here, sir. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me here Mr. Alexander Emmanuel. Mr. Alexander Emmanuel. Mr. Alexander Emmanuel is a peace, conflict, and security expert who, of course, he is a professional, strategic thinker and strategist, negotiator, and civil military relationship expert. He is an international best-selling author with 4 award-winning books, most especially Scarlet. Go and look for Scarlet.
Interesting.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, awarding books to his credit. He is a Nigerian Air Force officer. So we are privileged to have a military officer today. And currently he lives in Nigeria, where he facilitates trainings for young people in leadership, writing, and peace building. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guests, Mr. Alexander Emmanuel. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Stephen. Good to see you, Mr. Wale. Good to see you, sir.
Same here.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you.
So, Mr. Wale Akinyanmi, I am going to be, it looks like I'm going to go with you first. I'm going to ask you a question, right? Rwanda has a long and strong history of civil war, and this has a way of leaving scars that are capable of crippling the nation's economy, most especially killing the enthusiasm of productive youths. As at the time you embarked on the project in Rwanda, the youth population in Rwanda was about 70%. Can you tell us how you were able to engage and empower the youths of Rwanda despite all they have been through? Yeah, despite all they have been through. The scars are still there. You know, their parents are still suffering the memories of the war. Please tell us. How were you able to engage them and empower them? Yes.
Thank you so very much, Stephen. And let me also say a big hello to my brother, Alexander. Let me emphasize
Thank you, Mr. Wale.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me emphasize this, that I went to Rwanda, first of all. I went to Rwanda to attend a conference. But then before then, I had dealings with God on what God wanted me to do with the young people in Africa. And I had kept expecting what exactly and where he wanted me to work or start the work or even continue the work, because I was already doing it in Nigeria anyway. And I went to Rwanda to attend an AFTB meeting. I was invited to the meeting, and I got to Rwanda. I'm using this to explain to you what Rwanda was like and what it's still like. I got to that. There was quite a large population of young people. And I signaled to, my company who was sitting next to me. I wanted to know how come that number of young people were attending that conference. And she said to me, "Sir, you seem not to know about the history of Rwanda." I said, "But I know a little." And she said, "Well, most of the young people that you find here are actually representing interests in Rwanda. If you remember that so percentage of old people in Rwanda died in that year. Yeah? And now what is happening is such that a lot of them, had young people who been left behind and are now in different positions of responsibility. And of course, the nation as at that time was also looking on its youth, on its youth population. So I was surprised. I had read about that, but I didn't know it was as stark as that. And I asked myself, if these young people were in Nigeria, just like Chief Fani-Kayode said, if they were in Nigeria, they would be probably more bothered about, all the mundane things, all the what's it called now? What was this popular program again now? But I saw that the young people in that country were much more focused than the young people in a lot of other countries, because great responsibility had come upon them. And so that was one of the things that touched me, and I needed to just respond to the call of God that this is where to start that project, raising entrepreneurial leaders in Africa. So it wasn't just that I went to Rwanda and then I got there. No, I didn't plan to do that in Rwanda. But I heard the Lord speak to me very clearly. And if you are somebody who wants to be a leader, and particularly you want to train leaders, then you must have a relationship with God. What is God saying to you at specific times? I remember very clearly I heard that this is the place. And I heard that this is a kairos moment, the moment you have been waiting for. So I didn't have a choice. I had to come back home, relate with my family that, look, there is a greater assignment out there in Rwanda. And I had to paint the picture. I had to allow people to see what was happening and to help them to understand that, look, that Rwanda, you were talking about people still having challenges in respect of looking back at the experience of Rwanda in the past over 20 years. No, I must tell you the truth that has become a thing of the past. Rwanda, as it is now, has become an example to the rest of Africa. The leadership in Rwanda celebrated leadership. I'm not a Rwandan.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Okay, I think there are some technical difficulties. Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. Thank you so much. So the passion to raise entrepreneurial leaders was there, which is what you need. Thank you so much, sir. So I'm going to be asking the next guest here, my hallowed guest, who is an officer of the military. Now, here's my question to you, Mr. Alexander. Are you there? Hello? Mr. Alexander, are you there? Hello? Hello? Okay, I think there are some technical issues, and I believe that they will be back here to rectify that. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, you heard him. It's very important to be driven by passion. Of course, you heard it from my order, the first guest, the chief, former Minister of Aviation, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode. He said, "You, of course, you need the passion, you need God." Now, these are two people telling you need God and you need the passion. You need to be humble enough to support others, and that's what it's about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry about the network. I am sure that they will be back, and this is what it is about online events. So now from my book. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Wale. I'm so sorry for the network problem. Yeah, so I'm just going to say something else before I ask the other question. Yes, thank you, sir. I'm just going to say something else before I ask the next question, which is for my book, Success Pills. Okay, so now in service lies greatness. This is to reiterate what I said before. You have to serve in order to be great. Service is important. Humility is very important. So I'm waiting for my other guests to join me, Mr. Alexander, because I'm going to be asking him a question pretty soon. I'm so sorry for the service. Thank you. Welcome back, sir.
Oh, sorry.
So this is a question for you.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem, sir. This is a question for you, Mr. Alexander. Can you hear me? Now, it is no news that most of the people that are conscripted into the terrorist forces around the world, most especially in Nigeria, are young people. We're aware that one of the biggest contributing factor to this is unemployment. For such terrorists, they may have been given, of course, by their ogas or bosses, may have been given some sort of insurance, protection, name it, right? That ordinarily the government should have given them. What do you think the government can do in stopping these menace? In stopping this?
Okay. Yeah. Once again,
what should the government? What is the government supposed to do that their terrorist commanders are doing for them that should be more like compensating, or that should help them financially, most especially?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to be on this platform and to share my thoughts on particularly on counter-violent extremism approaches. Talking about unemployment for youth as one of the triggers for them joining, violent groups or terrorist organizations. It is just one aspect of the drivers of why people, join such groups. There are a lot of variables that explains why people join these groups beyond unemployment. First, I think there's a need for us to put this discussion in context. According to the African Youth Charter, it defines the youth as those within the age brackets of 15 and 35, which you'll agree with me are the most active, part of any society. And while this can be an asset, a very positive resource that can bring about national development, it is also a vulnerable group for social vices, which terrorist organizations can take advantage of. So the point is, the focus now is the youth. These are the most active part of any society. So there ought to be the, efforts by the government to see how to reach out to these people to maximize these resources, for the general good of the country. And also on the flip side, you also have the terrorist organization, like the black market, also sourcing for these resources to be able to drive their own agenda. So it is, as you know, generally, they tell you one man's fighter is another man's, one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. So this is about perspectives. So the terrorist may not see himself as a terrorist in as much as we see the terrorist as a terrorist. So some terrorists see the state as the terrorist. So it is an issue of paradigm. So the bottom line is, how do these people source for these people? How are they able to identify their targets? Are they able to identify the vulnerable groups? One of the reasons which you said, which was the key driver, is unemployment, the unemployed people. Yes, that's one of it.
Yes.
But basically, there are several approaches or several explanations for this. You can argue it from the point of the human needs theory, where you talked about unemployment, basic essentials. When people can access these things, they try to seek for other means, you know, to want to create that ideal society or that ideal life for themselves. There's also the political economy approach, where people do it just for gains. You are aware there are mercenaries who join terrorist group just for the purpose of money making, just as you have your regular jobs. For some people, belonging to a terrorist organization is actually their job. So the political economy explains this. So there's the ideological too, when people that are religious extremists, they want to push an agenda or a campaign, they pursue it through, you know, the means of terrorism. There are several other, you know, explanations. There is the frustration aggression, as you know, if you refer to the
I think the service there just cut him out. So, Mr. Wale Akinyanmi, are you there? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Are you there? Okay. Sorry, guys. I think it's a service. Are you there? Okay. Yeah, Mr. Wale, are you there? Okay, you're there.
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. So I'm sure it's going to continue when it comes back. That's some service going up and down.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Wale, I want to ask you a very important question. Now, I saw your message about the unemployment, but I would like you to say, because it's going to be linked to something that I'm going to be asking right now, right? So more than 50% of the Nigerian population are the youths, right? We know that the strength, the foundation, and the beauty of any nation are the youths. Please tell us, Mr. Wale, how can the leadership in entrepreneur be maximized in a nation like Nigeria with such an alarming unemployment rate? Most especially now that due to the pandemic, a lot of people have lost their jobs. In the United States, for example, more than 20 million jobs have been lost. More than 20 million jobs have been lost. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and people can't even find job right now. So what exactly can be, you know, how can you know, the youths, the leaders in entrepreneur maximize, you know, their opportunities? Yeah.
Let me quickly go into this, Stephen, and insist that government has to be very, very clearly decided on this. But unfortunately, one of the greatest challenges that we have in Africa is that people come into government without
So sorry about that. So Mr. Alexander,
vision.
Okay,
yes,
people come into government without a
I think I'm experiencing
people. There's something that is very important in what we call social entrepreneurship. There's something that is very important in social entrepreneurship. From the heart goes to the hand. Okay, he's back.
Okay, so Mr. Alexander, I think he's giving you.
You want me to continue?
Okay, Mr. Alexander, yeah, you just have 1 minute to continue from where you stopped. I'm sorry. Yeah, just continue in just 1 minute. Yeah, where you stop, and then Mr. Wale can continue.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sorry about that. So so basically the group, the terrorist organizations are more focused at, at those people who are already, have created that atmosphere within themselves that make them ready tools, for them to use. And a lot of factors, influence all of this to get people to that point that they find that the only way out is for us to, join this organization. So I think if you look at it holistically, it begins from the point of perception, what we call the ground level, where you have the general masses, where their perception begins to form around them. Their perception form around the realities around them, where they stand, not unjust. They begin to try to identify this. Then the next stage, you see, they try to begin to find answers. Procedural justice approach. What they do at that time, they ask questions. It's like a little child, who is born into a family that is stigmatized and all of that. And the child doesn't understand his environment, why these things are happening to me. And, at that point, he tries to define his own reality by asking questions. At this point, if there is the right, entry point, this is an entry point for you to be able to, stop this child from being radicalized. So
that's some service issues right now. I know we will overcome.
Yeah, so radicalization itself, it's in a continuum. So I'm just trying to explain how these people become. It's a continuum, so it's like the struggles. If that child at that particular time finds the right response, yes, the child at that time, you can, yes. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, you have few seconds, 3 seconds.
Yeah, so the child.
Wow. I think there is a network issue again. Mr. Wale, can you hear me?
But if the child doesn't find the correct response at that time, it moves to the next stage. It begins to try to find answers for himself. And what you will understand, there are several other children. Yeah, so.
Okay, I'm sure he's going to be able to add that to whatever comments he's going to make later on. Thank you so much, sir. So, Mr. Wale, please continue. We are working with time.
Yes,
thank you.
If you don't mind, I'll just take it from where he stopped, because as far as I'm concerned, the challenges that we have in terms of young people getting radicalized, and even the challenges that we have from the present situation that we find ourselves, the pandemic, I mean, they're the same thing. It's all because of unprepared leadership. Our leaders have not been prepared for what we are experiencing today. And the truth is that, particularly in Nigeria, I would like to say that in most cases we have found in leadership people who have never been prepared. I'd like to quickly take the words of John Edmund Haggai. He says the world is looking for those who have a vision and can deliberately exert special influence to move a group or a country towards goals of beneficial permanence that will fulfill the real needs of the people. The most important need of the people is how to feed, how to wear clothing, how to have shelter. And there's nobody who is particularly, focused on providing this. This is absolutely sham, as far as I'm concerned. It's not only in Nigeria, it's in most parts of Africa. We need to begin to ask ourselves, what are we doing that that would bring our youth? Look, it's been said Africa has a youth population that is going to 70%, and it is very, very unique, totally unique in the whole world. I must say also that where we're going to in the next 20 years, by the grace of God, it's not just a matter of, there has been postulations, and these postulations are right, that in the next 20 years thereabout, Africa's population is going to be more than the population of China and India combined.
That's right. That's the prediction. It's true.
So where are we going to? Our leaders are pretending as if this doesn't matter. This is where entrepreneurship comes in. We must start entrepreneurship from the youngest ages. I promote what I call kidpreneurship. We must start entrepreneurship from our primary schools. We must start entrepreneurship training from our secondary schools. In the universities right now, we behave as if we do not know that the entrepreneurship programs. I'd like to ask you, Stephen, what kind of entrepreneurship program did you go through when you were in the university? I tell you the truth, what we did, what Nigerian universities even do presently is just entrepreneurship to fulfill all righteousness. And it's not so. We must begin. I listened to a program on a Chinese television station about 3 years ago, and a group of graduates, young graduates, were being addressed, and the presenter went through the challenges that were facing the young graduates, and they asked the guy who was on the set, "Look, how do you think your friends and yourself are going to cope with this challenge? Because they are entering into the, into the main sphere of the world." And the young man said, "Look, we had been prepared for this. They had started preparing us from our young ages. From the secondary school, they had started preparing us. I make bold to say that most of the equipment that we're using today in Nigeria are fabricated, are invented by young, secondary school folks in China and the developed world. We cannot afford to make it look as if Big Brother Africa or whatever is what will drive Nigeria. No, Nigeria cannot go when all, the Bible says, it says, woe unto you, whose kings are what? Whose kings are babes. Yakubu Gowon became the leader of Nigeria at age 29 or thereabout. If he was a babe, then he wouldn't have been able to hold Nigeria at all. Presently, our leaders are babes. Our young people are babes. I go spiritual. In the Bible, this young man was asked, if your foe is on the ground, now strike him. And he couldn't, because the Bible says he was but a youth. You can be a youth by age, but you cannot afford to continue to be a youth at heart and in national issues.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
This is the time that our young people get out and be entrepreneurial. Thank you very much.
They have to be educated entrepreneurially. As a matter of fact, I just want to reiterate what you said, that the world is looking for those with the vision who can meet the basic needs of the entire world. Those are the people needed by the world to take up the leadership positions. Thank you so much for that. I am really inspired. So, Mr. Alexander, this is the question for you. Right now, we know that the military all around the world has produced powerful and effective leaders. As a matter of fact, we can conclude that the military is a breeding ground for a leadership career. Yeah, if there's anything like that. Recently, it went viral that soldiers are now resigning in their numbers, right? Because they are not given some sort of strong insurance. Neither is the government equipping them enough to fight the terrorists, so they are seeing their mission, in fighting the terrorists as a trap for their untimely death, despite the sacrifices they make. What is your advice to the government in this matter?
Yes, I think I've seen this around the media. For the purpose of this forum, I'm not authorized to respond on service issues, particularly as it has to do with the morale of the troops and engaging with the government on this kind of issues. So this may not be the appropriate platform for me to discuss that. We can move forward to other questions that require my expertise. Yes, as a professional in what I do. Yes.
Thank you. So the other question I'm
Thank
going to
you.
ask you, the other question I'm going to ask you is, we know that leadership is all about leading the change, right? What do you think
Yes,
should be
please.
the cooperative efforts or approach to everyone in ensuring that lives and properties are safe? What should be the
Yes.
cooperative responsibility or approach, in ensuring
Yes.
that, because that's what leadership is about, leading the change. I think
Yes.
this is the
Yes.
first step.
Basically, I think what you're doing right now, it's one step forward concerning that has to do with youths coming together to form an effective social solidarity to change things for themselves. And it begins by education. Just to add to what Mr. Wale said, it's important that we give the young people the right education for them to understand the whole the concept of citizenship, patriotism. If we're able to address key issues that has to do with national nation building,
Yes.
entrepreneurship development for youths, all you need, if you can equip the mind, there are soft approaches to resolving conflict. It is not basically through kinetic approaches, and that is what you are doing. So this platform is an educating platform. We're trying to make people see how they can become leaders at every level. According to Mill, who talked about change leadership. Change leadership has to do with everyone, inspiring or trying to enthuse other people with his or a platform, to cause change at every
Yes.
level. So it is very important. I think we should keep engaging our youths to develop the right mindset. As I said, we have the most active population, and there is a contest for the souls, of those within this category, from the positive and from the negative. So while there are efforts to use kinetic approach to quell, some of this insecurity, it's important that we have some internal mechanisms that should be able to build that social solidarity that had always been there. If you check before now, if you see African traditional approaches to conflict management, you see that we had a system that was working where, an elder is an elder. But these days you hear a priest is being kidnapped. You hear funny things, This just tells you that our social fabrics, are diminishing by the day. And we need to talk about working on our social value system to see how we can bring these things at all levels, beginning from the family, engaging our youths. And with this, I think it will have the right mindset towards leadership, towards not desperation to want to be rich in life. These are some of the things that, drive people into crime. These are some of the things that, stir, the insecurity. So it's becoming too rampant these days because people, while they have given up on the government, there's the government side, to solving this. There's also the people's side, towards solving this. And that's what we're doing today, to educate the mind so that they can have the right mindset. And with this, as we continue to do in our microspheres, it continues to spiral. These little efforts we're making, they are spreading, and we'll be able to build vanguards for peace around communities. We can build vanguards for peace through some of these engagements. So I think it's about the mindset. It's also building a renaissance of the mind to be able to have that formidable force as youth too, so that the ones that have the right mindset should be able to influence the ones with the wrong mindset, because it is a contest.
That's right.
You see the number keep increasing by the day. So what can we do? So I think it's for us to use our platforms to reach out to people, to see as many as we can reach out to
Thank you very much. Thank you.
them
Thank you. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Mr. Alexander. Thank you so much, Mr. Alexander.
Towards
now
making things work for themselves while expecting so much from the government.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I'm going to be saying something you said now, that it's very important to work on the social value system within the family. And of course, the nation starts with the family. Like a community starts with the family. And that is where leadership starts from. And it's very important. If within your family, you are not able to correct or, positively impact on them with regards to their value system, then it's going to be very impossible to have a healthy society if you're not able to impact on their value system. Teaching your children, teaching your brothers, your sisters, teaching, bringing up issues and solving them within the family on what it is to lead and what it is to take up the first step in correcting things before others, take the steps. It's very important. I'm going to give you an example in just a few seconds. And this is exactly what I learned from Bishop Femi Idahosa, who, of course, is the president of Benson Idahosa University. You can never walk with that man and then, okay, let me put it this way. You walk with him, walk, W-A-L-K. He sees a dirt on the floor. The next thing you're going to see is that he's going to go down, pick it up, and trash it in the trash can. That's his leadership. So he's teaching us how to lead. He's taking the first step so that we'll learn how to take the first step. So that's what leadership is about. Leading the change, taking the first step, being the example, being the mirror that other people look at, and then, be able to correct their mistakes, correct their faces. That's what leadership is about. Thank you so much, sir. So, Mr. Wale, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to be asking you another question, sir. You've been mentoring entrepreneurs for some years now in several continents. And you may have come across a lot of young people, as a matter of fact, not just young people now, because even old people are entrepreneurs, so we shouldn't just focus on young people. All right? Whose major complaint is capital. It's capital. To some, their heart cry or their problem or their challenge may be that they are not getting the support they need from people, while to others, it's their inability to secure grants. Right? Can you please tell us the most proper way or appropriate way of securing funds for entrepreneurial ventures? Do you think that people would have to have antecedents to show that they already have something going on before they are able to secure funds? I know this may not work for someone who has a very big project that is capital intensive, of course.
Okay.
And it's also possible such a person didn't have anything going on before such a big idea came. How can such a person navigate through these successfully to securing funds? For example, you never had anything going, because sometimes now I'm going to be saying this. One person I've listened to in the past, she would always say that people don't invest on new ideas. They invest on old ideas. Something that has been, so that they will see it as an antecedent. People don't want to risk putting their money in things that are not, that don't have a past, right? So tell us, how can people secure funds for any entrepreneurial venture or project?
Okay, let me take this very quickly because I know we have just a little time, and I'll just take it from what you just finished saying, that people don't invest in new businesses or new ideas. And the truth is that you call them investors. So nobody wants to invest in something that is not proven. You have to be proven. And I tell people, because this is a subject that I teach in my entrepreneurship school from day to day, and I tell young people that, look, you start small. I have a book that is called Start Small, Grow Big. You start small. You don't climb a ladder from the top. You climb a ladder from, the lower rungs of 8, and you grow from stage to stage. Then in your course of growing, when you're applying, for instance, for funds, then everybody knows that this is the stage that you are presently in. But for you to want to start a project and you say it's a $5 million project, who wants to give you that? Who wants to, that's very unreasonable. And I like to always emphasize that, look, challenge of raising funds to start any business is a global issue. It's in all parts of the world. It's only different from one nation to the other. In some nations, they have systems that take care of this aspect. But that system does not say that you should come and start, a multi-million naira business or dollar business just, by raising funds through grants. No way. There's nobody who's going to give you that kind of largesse to play with. What will happen is that you have to take your project stage by stage and you start small. I tell people, I say, look, if you have a multi-million naira project or dollar project, you must be able to reduce it to the barest minimum and start. Mark Zuckerberg did not start from the top. Bill Gates did not start from the top. They all started from somewhere. Start from that little place, then grow it. By the grace of God, I'm glad to let people know that whatever I've done in entrepreneurship, I didn't start by raising loans. I learned to start, because there's also the aspect of creativity and innovation in entrepreneurship. As a matter of fact, that is the basis of entrepreneurship, creativity and innovation. There is always a way for you to do it and for you to start small that you must be able to do and, move that project forward to at least to a considerable level that it will attract attention. Yes, that it will attract attention that this is, a promising project. Then when your project is found promising, then of course, then you have antecedents. What kind of person are you? Yes, whoever wants to give you a grant, for instance, exactly. Whoever wants to give you a grant must know you, must have the antecedent about you, must be able to say, look, this is what you have been in the past, maybe 5-10 years. This is what you have been doing. You've not done anything that is noticeable. You've not done anything that is worth recounting. Now you are looking for hundreds of thousands as grants. No, nobody gives that. Let's be factual. Nobody gives that. You must be able to say, look, this is where I'm coming from. This is where I am now. And this is where I'm projecting to be in the next so number of years. This project that I want this grant for, this is what I've done with it. And these are the opportunities therein. That the one who is, assessing you looks at it and sees, and then they also want to be a part of your moving forward. This we just must do.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, pick that. Start small and grow big. Start small and grow big. This is a principle applied by everyone, and it works for them. It has been working for me all these years. The Eagles Leadership Conference started in 2017 in Nigeria, Benin City to be precise. Right now, we have people all over the world watching. We have people in Senegal watching. We have people in Canada watching. We have people in the United States and Nigeria and everywhere. So start small and grow big. It doesn't matter how you start. It doesn't matter how much you have. Have that idea. Idea is a capital. I hope you know that. Idea is a capital. If you have the idea, you can get the money you need to embark
It's the most important capital. It's the most important capital.
Sir. Absolutely, sir. Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Alexander, this is the last question for both of you. I'm going to run through it very fast. Now, what strategies do you think is needed for the government of nations, most especially Nigeria, in tackling terrorism? What's your suggestion? What's your idea? Now, in case in the future, the president goes to my YouTube channel and wants to get details, information, ideas on how to tackle terrorism, what advice do you have for them right now?
Okay, for the issue of tackling terrorism, the most effective approach to tackling terrorism has always been the soft approach. The soft power approach, where you're able to approach, terrorism by tracing its drivers, tracing the drivers of terrorism and addressing them from their roots. What the government requires is to, even though we already have a counter-violent extremism model that is already operational, there is need for this to be reviewed to address contemporary drivers of terrorism to be able to find a lasting solution to these things. One has to do, of course, we were talking about the vulnerable groups earlier. So it's about addressing what drives people into terrorism, which one has to do with education, one has to do with poverty, one has to do with unemployment. So these are soft issues that issues of inequality that spur people to want to get back at the government by use of violence. So before it gets while there is the hard approach, the soft approach should come in, because a lot has to, and the government has a major role to play around this area to be able to establish systems where justice can be assessed, where there is equity, where there is so if people believe in a system, you will reduce the vulnerability of this category of people, which are mostly youths, to joining this group. So if you have something, it is like a child, you find something to attract a child with. If you call this child, if you usually give him biscuits and you stop giving him, another uncle comes to give to him through the back door, or already you have moved the child's loyalty to the other person. So it's important that we are able to identify the drivers, of people joining terrorism, and deploy every means, every soft approach possible, to be able to curb that, so that at the end of the day, even when it is being addressed through military might, there can also be the flame, the whole drivers should have been addressed, so that there will be no resurgence, in the future. So without doing that, terrorism can never end in any country. Go and find out. There must be a working system to be able to ensure that there is no resurgence, such that all that is required, the basic, especially the basic, requirements for people are being made. So with this, to a very large extent, I believe that terrorism should be fairly tackled to the barest minimum.
So what you're saying is that they have to look at the motivating factors in people joining, becoming terrorists, the drivers, those things, those little things that the government ordinarily should be able to take care of, and be able to, take care of them, so that it will reduce the rate at which people will go into terrorism. Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much for that. So the last question goes to Mr. Wale Akinyanmi. Now, this question is also very important. Now, the new normal now, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, is the online platform, which can be very useful, right? Now, how can entrepreneurial leaders use this platform? Now, we all know now that even those that, we used to hear from our fathers, don't play with the social media, don't play with it. You're always on Facebook and all of, Daddy, I know you are there, Even my father would always say that you are too on Facebook. Right now, even our fathers go to church on Facebook. Right? They now see the value, the importance of social media, that even business leaders now know that. Now, I think this is one of the reasons, or one of the things that made recently this guy made about $100 billion, Mark Zuckerberg, making him one of the top richest people in the world because of social media. Now, how can entrepreneurial leaders use this platform to attract personal income and also build the nation's economy? Yeah.
Very quickly, I'd like to say that I had been, of course, romancing with the social media for quite some time, but then one didn't imagine that it was going to come to become what we were facing today. As a matter of fact, just like you said, I was one of those who tell my young people, look, you don't attend church on social media. You have to be in church physically. The Bible says, don't forsake the assembly. The Bible says, don't forsake the assembly of brethren. But look, whether we like it or not, this is where we find ourselves today. This is a platform for global leadership today. If it wasn't for social media, how would we be here? How would we be dishing out what we're dishing out today? How will we be reaching out to millions that I believe we're reaching out today? So this is the platform. And I mean, for your information, I'm just about rounding off training in the Accent Business Academy. Right now, I'm just finishing training 22 young people. I mean, and
Wow.
hitherto we will do it offline, but this time around we decided to go online entrepreneurship training. Yes, and I mean, it's been fantastic. It's been awesome. We've had a great experience. This is where to be right now. If you're not on the social media right now, if you're not technology driven right now, then you've lost out.
Leave
You've lost out. Then you'll be left behind. This is the new normal. This is the new driver. This is the new facility that the world is holding on to, because this is where the world is right now, and you just must be there. Sincerely. So for me, entrepreneurship leaders, just as a matter of fact, what makes you an entrepreneurship leader right now is for you to be on the social media. That's the truth. So that whatever is happening there, you grab it. I mean, and then of course you begin to apply it to your situations. There are several opportunities online. Whether we like it or not, it's a reality. There are several opportunities. There are mind-blowing opportunities that are just waiting for you. Then my only grounds is that, look, don't be on social media or the social media just for
the wrong
reasons, mundane reasons. Oh, I like to emphasize on those words, mundane reasons, because there's so much work to do. There's so much leadership. I mean, that need leadership opportunities that need to be grabbed. Presently, for instance, my organization, I'm a co-founder of an organization, 1 Million Leaders Africa. We're putting...
I know about that.
Yes, training in the next 10 years. We're hoping to train a million young leaders in Africa.
Wow.
And we're on it.
Wow.
We've started working
That's
on
massive.
this. Yes, by the grace of God.
That's massive,
The training is going to be majorly virtual. We already started.
Wow.
So if you're there, you imagine social media must still be about romancing on the social media. No, that's wrong. There are more important things to life that you must realize. And I plead with our young people. This is why you're being shortchanged. This is why, the leadership uses free and mundane things to catch you. Once they know that you have content, and truly, whether we like, content is on the social media, content is on the internet, and there's nobody that can drive you away from that. There are libraries and libraries and libraries all over that you can have access to, via the social media. Please go ahead and grab this. This is what makes you an entrepreneurial leader. And I don't think there's somebody who wants to...
Success Pills is one of them. Go and get Success Pills.
Thank you very much, my brother. There's somebody who wants to achieve,
who wants to
accomplish that will not be on social media today. Thank you so very much. It's a great pleasure being here with you.
So thank you, sir. Now, Mr. Alexander, please, you have a few seconds, 1 minute or 1 minute to just round off. What's your advice on people, most especially those who are, anticipating to joining the military? What's your advice to them? Just 1 minute. Let us, how can they get into the military and become better leaders for our society, our nation, and the world entirely? Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay, before that, my final words for our audience tonight. Yes, and thank you everyone who is watching all around the world. Thank you for your time. I hope you learned something. Okay, my final word is there is a need for young people to reassess their environment, reassess the realities around them. This is important because this is the only way you'll be able to identify opportunities and challenges where possible. If you're able to identify this, for example, today, in as much as there is a challenge of people coming together in large number, it has also paved way for opportunities for people. People are making billions while there are people complaining, about all of this happening. So it's important that we reassess our realities and should be able to assert ourselves. We should be able to position ourselves strategically to take advantage of whatever is transform lemons into lemonade, plain, that the government is not doing more around them.
Thank you.
So it's important ability for bringing about that change for your life.
Thank you.
And of course, for the military is a noble profession for those who are willing to come. Of course, it's somewhere you would love to be because it's a discipline organization where patriotism comes first. It's always the service before self. So for those who desire to join the military, there are always advertisements that come every time in the year where you can apply, and the federal character rules are being applied. The instructions are there. So all you need to, once this advertisement come, just go try your luck, irrespective of the number of people that are there. The military is still an organization where there is quite some credibility. So I would encourage anyone to take advantage of that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So, Mr. Wale, what exactly would you like to say? Your final word. Yeah. Just
my final words I just typed here. I didn't know I would have the opportunity. Okay. I think we are rounding off. I just typed my final word here. I didn't know I'll have the opportunity. Look, the population of young people in Africa keeps rising, and the unemployment rate keeps rising. Economic challenges keep rising all over the world. What you need to do is make your heart open to entrepreneurship. Make up your mind to become a provider, not a consumer. Majority of Africans and particularly our young people are consumers, and you must begin to ask yourself, what can I provide? I mean, whether we like it or not, food crisis will rise in the next few years.
Sure.
The place to be is in is wherever food is being produced. You can produce food via internet. You can produce food via your paper. That means you can contribute to agricultural development. That is where the millions of, dollars of Africa are going to be in the next few years. And that's why the Chinese and the other nations are seeking to come and, recolonize Africa, because we still have, preponderance of our land that is yet to be exploited. Who is going to do this? Nobody's going to do this for us. This is where to be. Entrepreneurship is the key to a developed Africa. Innovation, creativity, and all of those stuff. That's where we must be. If we are not there, then we'll continue to be a subservient continent and subservient nations. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, his final word is that you must make up your mind to be a producer and not a consumer. Meet needs, solve problems. That's what leadership is about. In the United States, where you're watching from, look for opportunities to solve problems. There are so many people on drugs out there who have lost their homes because they are on drugs, and they are looking for how to get back on their feet. Help them. That's what true leadership is about. People think that in America everything goes well. You go to the street, you see poor people, you see you see those addicted to drugs, you see people who have lost everything, including their mind. So what else do they have? You need to help them recover all they've lost, right? That is what leadership is about. Again, Mr. Alexander said that you must take advantage strategically. Those words are very important, all right? The opportunities you have, strategically take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. It is very, 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 very important. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say a few things and then we will end it for today. Now, I'm going to read out something from Success Builds, my book, which you can actually get from okadabooks.com. Now, it says, now the success of every business leader is dependent on the leadership of that business. Lead exceptionally. So you must take the effort to lead exceptionally. What are those things you have to do that you have to do differently that others are doing? What are those things you have to do differently that others are doing? Being making a difference is very important, but you have to do something differently in order to get a different result and not the same result that everyone is having. That is automatically or ultimately what is going to make you to stand out as an effective leader, global leader, national leader, or a local leader. Very important. Now, the other thing I'm going to say is that the test of leadership comes with responsibilities, or it comes in responsibilities. Whether the responsibility was imposed by who you work for in your corporation, was imposed by someone else, or the responsibility was self-generated by you. Everything about leadership has a lot to do with responsibilities, and this is what makes true leadership. This is what builds you into becoming even a global leader. You heard what Chief Femi Fani-Kayode said. He said, in order to make a change globally, you have to start from within. And I wrote it down. This is the quote that Mahatma Gandhi said: in order to change the world, you have to change within. You have to start changing yourself and, of course, your environment. That is what leadership is about. Service, of course, is not a call. It's a culture that shapes lives and nations. So you must learn how to serve. Very important. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is that you were made for the top only, and you will break through from the ground level to the top level if you patiently and consistently build capacity, just as it is with the Chinese bamboo tree. You have to be consistent. I'm not going to go in details about the Chinese bamboo tree, but if you give me just a minute, I'll go in details with that. But I mean, we are almost out of time right now, so this is the point. I'm going to say some things in a few seconds, and then we'll call it a day or a night. So now, the Eagles Leadership Conference is a movement, is a vision that is set to change lives, that is set to change nations, that is set to change nations all around the world. And we've had several success stories, right, of how our conferences have impacted young people and have helped them, set them on course to changing their environment, and that have helped them to birth new dreams, to birth, to have visible impact or product that they are proud of. This is what the Eagles Leadership is about. And I'm sure that you're going to be a support of this vision, of this movement, of this commission. Now, if you want to be a part of it, you can reach out to Stacy or reach out to me. All right. And I want to apologize that our speaker, Mrs. Mavi Isibor, is not here. There are some reasons she didn't come, and I strongly apologize that she's not here today. I'm so sorry. And of course, if you want to reach out to any of the speakers, Mr. Wale Akinyanmi or Mr. Alexander, please reach out to me, right? If you want to be in connect or contact with them, most especially about military or about their book, or about their book, and of course about what they do, please feel free to reach out to me. I am open to accept any or to create any form of communication channel between you and them. It's very important. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the Eagles Leadership Conference USA 2020. I'm going to be launching I'm going to give you the full details later, but we are looking at hosting this conference next year in Liberia or in Ghana. Now, for today's edition, the one of the Eagles Leadership Conference, this is actually where we're going to be ending it. But tomorrow, same time, if you are in Nigeria, it's going to be 8 p.m. And if you're in United States, New York to be precise, it's going to be 3 p.m. Same time, same venue for tomorrow's conference, Eagles Leadership Conference USA Day 2. Please let us try as much as possible to come here. And we're going to be having powerful speakers, Mr. Charles Okafor, Jordan Kera, Voke, Emeka Osai, Sidibe from Liberia. These guys are going to be impacting on you tomorrow. Please make it here and let us do something real. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, I remain Stephen Ogbolu, your convener, and of course the host, and of course the champion of the Eagles Leadership Conference USA. God bless you, and do have a great evening. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. God bless you for impacting us. I'm really grateful. You are a blessing. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.